Welcome back to SoCal with Val, where we uncover the best places to visit, explore, eat, and enjoy in Southern California. I'm your host, Valerie Van de Zilver, and today's guest is someone whose passion you can taste in every bite. Derek Taguchi is the owner of two standout seafood restaurants, Simply Fish in Costa Mesa and FishBonz in Torrance. But Derek's story goes way beyond the menu, from childhood fishing trips with his dad to creating packed house events with live music and unforgettable food in a casual dining environment. Derek has built more than just restaurants, he's created experiences. So we'll talk about what drives him, how he keeps things fresh, literally and creatively, and why his community keeps coming back for more. And I'm personal testimony of that. So whether you're a foodie, a local, or just love a great comeback story, you're in for a treat. Welcome, Derek Taguchi, to SoCal with Val.
Well, thank you for having me, Valerie. We've known each other quite a long time, and you've come into my restaurant, your husband, and your beautiful mom, for a lot of years, and it's very exciting to have a new restaurant. Simply Fish is now in existence 2.5 years, and I when I started in 2010, I opened a restaurant called FishBonz Grill, which is in Torrance.
Right.
And if you are in the restaurant business, you'll understand a fast casual type restaurant, which is you go to the counter, you order your food, and you wait for your number, and then they call you up, or we deliver to the table, and then you have your meal. And it's in a shopping center in Rolling Hills Plaza on Crenshaw and Pacific Coast Highway in Torrance. And I started that 15, 16 years ago now. Um, and at that time in the restaurant business, there weren't a lot of casual seafood restaurants that you could just go in at a very affordable price and have great food. So I've had that all these years, and I decided in 2.5, or actually 3.5 years ago, because it took a year to build this restaurant, to that segment of business of fast casual restaurants has gotten to the point where it's very saturated. There's a lot of people doing that casual price point of restaurants. So and I think in today's times with what's happening in restaurants, that there is a missing piece, which I feel I have now, which is a full service restaurant that has ambiance, entertainment, um, but still offer things at a value price. So that's what I try to achieve in my restaurant, where I think that I'm kind of in between the fast casual and the high-end restaurants. I try to offer things that are in high-end restaurants that you couldn't normally get at this price point. So that's what I try to do with service, and where you feel comfortable and you can sit for a long time, or you can come in and eat and for lunch and within an hour get out. So that's what I've tried to do, and I think it's starting to become very successful now. So
Well, you've done it very, very, very well. Our family certainly does everything
hey,
we do to support you, but we also do it for selfish reasons because we love going there. We love the food, we love the price point, and we love the service. So you have it all.
thank
Derek,
you
I
so much.
found a story about you that says to appreciate the story of Simply Fish, that we would want to know more about your passion for seafood and your love for fish grew at an early age. I've heard a
Right.
little bit about that. Tell us how you got started and your story of going out and fishing.
So my story starts with uh, when I was I believe it was like 9 years old. I started fishing. Um, my mom and dad. I come from a divorced family. My mom and dad, and my dad on the weekends would have time to spend, and we would go out. So we would normally go out fishing on a weekend,
On the
Or
pier? Would you go on the pier?
yeah, we go on the pier, we go on barges, or we'd go on overnight trips, or and as time went on, I started to do a lot of more fishing in like San Diego and going down to Mexico and things like that. That was a little later in life, but my dad really taught me about fishing, and he always loved culinary. So he would, if we weren't doing that, we were going out to nice restaurants, and he always taught me the culinary side of restaurants, meaning from a customer standpoint of educating me on what customers would expect and how they, he always told me a customer should never pay for food if they don't like it, and they should always have the right to say what's going on with their plate or whatever else. And I've always taken that motto and made that my restaurant, that I always guarantee everything, and we usually don't have any complaints, and we don't have much food returned. But if it does, I try to make it right every time. So, and that to me is more important than anything else. I think that making a customer happy, whether we have to make it once, twice, or three times, whatever it is, or switch out the plate or whatever we have to do, I do. And I don't ever make the customer feel like they should eat something that they're not, maybe their tastes are different than what we have in the restaurant. So that I do.
Well, I
Living.
can just interject that we've never once returned food at your restaurant. Never
Hey,
once.
no, it doesn't happen very often, but on the chance that it could, I've always done it wholeheartedly and with a lot of love and passion. So the other thing that I love is that my mom, who brought me up and took care of us, my brother and I, she always cooked at home too. So I always got to be in the kitchen and tinkering with food, and more everyday food, but that you would eat every single day. But I always got a taste for that, and started cooking with her at a very young age too. So throughout all of that, and then my dad taking me fishing all the time, I've learned all the processes of filleting fish and catching fish and understanding the different types of fish and species, and that has been something that I've been a part of for not since I was 9 years old, so for 56 years. So um, so those two things together, and throughout my life, I've been part of the fishing industry through acquaintances, and done fishing tackle shows, and done all of that, and done a lot of that type of thing too. So I've kind of understood the fish market and the understanding of fish. So through all of those things have all come together in restaurants where, Simply Fish is a restaurant that I wanted to have, where, um, we have 90 inch TV screens. We have three of those
Yes.
that do social media, do a lot of the fishing shows that we um, do cooking on them, do all those different things, and I also do sports on them, and I do all the latest sports things and things like that. But with all those things, I think my customer understands by seeing me cooking, seeing me fishing, seeing all these things, and then they see me in the restaurant every day talking to them and doing all these things. It reassures them that I know what I'm talking about. And I love, for me, there's nothing more than talking to the customers and enjoying their stories, and talking about fishing, or talking about cooking, or talking about the kind of fish that they're having, and the characteristics and the flavors and the taste and profile and everything else. So I really, at the age of 65, have really made a life for myself and my family, that I think that I couldn't have a better life. And because that's all I do is talk fishing, talking food, and just talking to people. And I love our clientele. Our clientele base is predominantly an older clientele. So
Yes, it is interesting.
including your mom.
My mom, yeah. And but also I see families there.
Yes, a lot of families, and it's very comfortable for families to come in with their kids and have a place to relax and enjoy food, and we have a great kids menu that's a very healthy menu for kids,
Good.
and so with all these different factors, for me to go to work every day, I go with a smile on my face, and I'm very excited to start every day with talking to people and hearing their stories and especially the older people. I love their stories because um, you learn so much about life through them and
I
it's
do.
just fantastic.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So
yeah.
so how did you get started in your own restaurant business? When did that happen and how did that come about?
Well, that started in 2010. Um, from knowing about fishing and knowing about cooking, I wanted to get into the business and I had an opportunity in Torrance. I found a location there that had a small short-term lease, but had options to continue for 5 years at a time. And I knew that with the short term of that restaurant, I could try it out, sample size it, and see what was going to happen with it. And it became very successful very fast. So it didn't take long and, a lot of learning curves. But I think that if your passion is cooking the right kind of food, and I mean, I remember when I opened that restaurant and the first couple of days I would see customers out on our patios or I'd come greet them and talk to them. And they'd say to me, "Oh, you have the biggest size food. You serve so much food. It's so much." And they would say, "But I know you're just going to bait and switch us and you're going to not
Oh,
have that going. And I always remembered that. And that was something to me that was very important that what I was giving was a value, but giving seafood that was going to make people happy. And I would tell you that 90% of the people that have our meals, they have to have to-go containers for them that take them home and have lunch the next day or dinner the next day. And that's something that I'm proud of, that I'm giving an ample amount of food and what I tell people is in Simply Fish, we have pictures of all the plates of food in the menu and then also on the walls.
you
So
do. Yeah.
everything that you see is actual food that's plated and presented in the restaurant, and that's exactly how that food comes out. And that's something that I stress with all my cooks and my main chef and all my employees, that the food is presented that way and it comes out in that size of amount of food down to the last piece of shrimp or down to everything is exactly as you get it. And if it's not, you know, it doesn't leave the counter and it doesn't get to the customer.
No,
So
but that just doesn't happen in your restaurant in that never.
no,
It's
no,
always the same.
no, it does not. And that's something that I really, really work for. And, in Simply Fish, my personality of uh, my customer, I try to hire people and servers that have that same philosophy as I do, which is service is number one. My reviews that I get, I'm 4.5 stars out of 5. My Simply Fish is 4.75 stars out of 5. And I'm very, very proud of that. That the first thing that they normally write about in my restaurant is the experience of the servers and how they're treated.
Sure.
And that's more important to me than even the food because I know that the food is good. So if I get servers that are going to make people happy and they feel comfortable, um, it's very easy from that point because I know the food is good. So it's just the servers and then the ambiance of the restaurant that they feel comfortable in the restaurant. Something that I did about 8 months ago, I started entertainment. And
Yes, you did. Yes. I think we were there your first night, maybe even.
yeah, we started very slowly. And I kind of had to try to get the feel for if the customers were going to like it, accept it, and I think um, on an entertainment night, you have to want to be there and want to enjoy that experience of it, right? There's some customers that'll say it's a little bit too loud or this or that, and but that's okay. They'll just come on another night and it's fine, right? So or they come earlier or whatever it is. But we have entertainment every Wednesday night, Friday night, and Sunday night. And Friday night is always our Frank Sinatra night, and we have Leslie that sings with him. That's fantastic, and so that's a great night. And starts at 5:30, and we go till closing, which is 9 o'clock, and people stay beyond 9 o'clock usually. But it's great. I would tell you that you should make a reservation. We have two seatings. We have a 5 to 6:30 and a 6:30 to 8. And so we allow 90 minutes for your dining. And seems to be working out. But we get pretty full. So you usually have to make the reservation early. Um, Wednesday nights, we have Wine Wednesdays. We do 30% off all bottles of wine. And we have a little different scenario. We have a guitar player named Huntington Henry, who plays a lot of ballad, Led Zeppelin, and plays 70s, 80s type music, and that's starting to build a following. And then on Sundays we do once a month we do a Hawaiian luau day where we have a ukulele, and we usually have some dancers that'll come out and perform, and that's once a month, and then the rest um, we alternate different people. So,
So for the people who maybe aren't familiar with you, which is a shame because everybody should be, but some
mhm.
of our viewers and our listeners today are driving on their way home, and we just hope they'll take a little detour and come by your restaurants. But talk about the differences between Simply Fish and FishBonz. And also, let's just interject here that when I first met you was at the Simply Fish in Costa Mesa, right?
No,
And
right,
and
FishBonz in Costa
oh,
Mesa.
excuse me, the
Yep,
FishBonz. And so you have FishBonz still in Torrance, right?
correct,
So for our
correct.
people who are in the South Bay or in the Los Angeles area, FishBonez in Torrance is where you can go. The food is equally good, a little bit different vibe. So how are those two restaurants different?
Well, FishBones is more, um, it's a shopping center that there's a lot of shops to go to shop. What drives that business over there is the AMC theaters. We're right in front of the AMC theaters, and the ambiance. There's a big fountain out front, and we're right next to the fountain. So the atmosphere outside, we have three patios, two of them covered. So during weather, we close the windows. We have heaters. Um, Majority of the restaurant is in an outdoor platform, so that's how that is there. There's not a lot of seats inside, probably about 35 or 40 seats inside, and then the rest is outside, and we can sit about 200 people there. So
Wow, that's a big group outside.
yeah, the patios outside are very big and very comfortable. And it's been that way for 16 years, and it's everybody that there are locals that come to the area and they eat. But you go up to the counter, you order your food. Um, they'll help you with the menu, and then from there, you get a number and you sit down, and then they either bring the food to you or they call your number and you pick it up, depending on the day. But that's how that's been for 16 years, and it seems to work, and people love it. Now, the difference from that is, and Simply Fish. I wanted it. This is the first time that I've had uh, a full service restaurant where you get the ambiance, you get the comfort, you can sit and watch TV or, of course, entertainment that we've been talking about. But I tried to, although it's called Simply Fish, I tried to do it in a way that my idea was, I would always hear people, I would come to Fish Bones more often if you had other things other than seafood, because my wife doesn't like seafood, so I can only come here with my friends once a month or something, and
I
I
never.
always remembered that. So in Simply Fish, I designed the menu so that I have steaks, I have pasta, I have chicken, and we have three different steaks. We have then I also put some, since it's a full service restaurant, I put in some more fine dining type of things. I did king crab legs. I did large lobsters, bigger lobsters, but that are by market price, and I do Maine lobster and Brazilian lobster tails, and we sell a lot of lobster tails. We have on Fridays we have lobster day where we have lobsters at $29, and those are half-pound lobster tails at $29, and you get all your sides and you get all that included in every plate that we do. So um, that's something that has driven, and we probably sell 45, 50 lobsters on a Friday. So
Really, you do.
yeah,
We have some that we I haven't paid attention to how many everybody else is eating. But we
yeah,
certainly, my husband does his share of lobsters. So,
yeah.
so you designed this restaurant, and I saw a quote that you have that Simply Fish is a 2.0 restaurant from a fisherman's point of view. Tell us what that means.
Well, 2.0 is a step up from the fast casual seafood restaurant. So it's 2.0, which in my idea means that it is a step up, that it's a culinary experience that you wouldn't experience in a seafood restaurant. So that's what I wanted to achieve out of that. And like I said, we do pasta, I do a pretty extensive children's menu for people that want um, to bring their kids in and have something that's more nourishing than having just fried fish or, something fried. So we do grilled fish for them. We have pasta, chicken, different things like that. And then, the other thing is I try to create a veggie for the vegetarians. For keto, we have an extensive keto menu that has all of our proteins with everything, grilled vegetables and so on and so forth. So you have the keto side of that. That's very popular too. So that I'm very proud of it that a year and a half ago I was voted best fish and chips in all of Orange County.
Yes, you were.
Um, Orange Coast Magazine named us best fish and chips in Orange County, and by two different newspapers was voted uh, in Eater magazine. We were voted one of the seven best seafood restaurants in Orange County, and then a few other uh, publications. They voted us in the top 10 of seafood restaurants in Orange County. So that's pretty good to have those acclimates in the first 2.5 years that I've been in business in a full service setting. So
Yep, it is. And so what I see, and you've described it better than I can, but for our listeners and our viewers, there's the seafood restaurants like FishBonz where you go in, it's very casual, sit down,
Mhm.
go. And then there are those that are more like the how do you call them, the institutional type restaurants, like a
Right,
chain restaurant that's bigger.
right.
And yours has blended both of those, great value, amazing value, and yet you still have a nice comfortable, you can sit down, right? It's not quite as casual, but sometimes when you have something that's not quite as casual, you also pay a higher price. And in your
Sure.
case, we haven't had to do that. And one thing that I asked you about before when we met was that how do you know, how do you keep the consistency in the size of your servings?
Well, the most important part of I think a restaurant, especially when it comes to seafood, um, if you don't if you don't have the same piece of fish every time and consistency, you're going to get different sizes of fish. You're going to get, hey, this time my fish came out and it's not the same size, or it's not this or that. So I've taken all that guesswork out of it. I used to originally, when I first started in the restaurant seafood business, I used to fillet all my fish, and we would get whole fish and I would cut it. but you'd
Oh,
portion it and you'd get different sizes and different thicknesses. So now, over all these years, I work with three different fish suppliers that deliver fish, and it's exactly to my spec. In other words, you don't want fish that's cooked, or get a piece of fish that's thick on one side and thin on the other side. So either you get an overcooked piece of fish or you get an undercooked piece of fish.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's
we want that.
right, and that's the tricky part of preparing fish, is that you can do that very quickly. So all my fish is proportioned and cut to be a certain thickness so that they know how to cook it and that it doesn't come out overcooked or undercooked, and that's very, very important. My flavor profiles, I've gotten lucky to be able to say that my taste profile of what I prefer in growing up in restaurants and growing up eating seafood, that it seems to work. I haven't had anything that I've ever done in designing of the menu that people don't like. So if you come into Simply Fish, you're going to see a book basically that has so many pictures of so many different categories of food that sometimes people get overwhelmed with it. And so but and I've tried to figure out a way to do less of everything so that it doesn't. But I look on at the end of every night the sales, and I sell everything equally, other than fish and chips. We sell that 100 times to 1, but um, everything else gets sold every single day. It's not like, oh, I can take this off. It's not being sold. So it's very tough, but and there's more ideas I have and more exciting things I want to do, which I have to kind of hold back on a lot because of those reasons. So
That's interesting. I didn't realize that's the case because we are very we're pretty boring customers because you pretty much could have our meal ready for us when we walk in. We always have the same thing.
a
But my
lot of,
husband,
a lot of our customers are that way. Yeah, that they order the same thing, and for me, sometimes it's frustrating because I have such a extensive menu that people gravitate to a certain item, but that's okay. That's their privilege to do, and they always get the same thing, and I'll try once in a while, and sometimes I surprise people and bring other items over to the table, prepare,
oh,
just give it to them and just let them try different things. So
oh well, we'll have to do that with us sometime. Now my husband is pretty good. He tries different things.
yes, he
He
does.
loves the scallops. He loves the crab cakes. We all love this. We love the salmon. Peter doesn't eat the salmon so much. Peter eats the lobster, so he
Right,
likes the variety. I'm much more consistent, but not because well, I guess say because I'm boring, but I just happen to like it. I
right.
just think it tastes great. And so it's interesting that you do have, let's talk about your books. So most people in your type of restaurant, and this was interesting to me the day you told me you were going to do this. You said I'm going to have leather bound menus. And I thought, well, in a restaurant like this, you usually don't see that, although
Right.
it's impressive. And it is. And it's interesting how that works in your restaurant because you wouldn't have to. So, what is it that inspires you to have this? Where did you get your creative spirit?
Well, I just, my other business that I've had for 45 years is I'm in the clothing business. So I'm men's apparel, which I'm a sales manager for a large men's suit company. And I help design, I help pick fabrics, I help decide what we're going to do each year and each season. So from that aspect of it, I've been doing that for 45 years. So it comes naturally to me, and I come from an art background. So you'll see in Simply Fish every nut and bolt and everything that was done in that restaurant, the design, the everything about it is with my passion and my involvement in everything that we've done in the restaurant. And I've tried to create a restaurant that you can come in a pair of shorts and slippers, or you can come in and a suit and feel just as comfortable either way. And we have a lot of, business people that come in and they have meetings there. And then we also have families that come in and all mingle together and have nice dinners there. And then we do a lot of, during the holidays, we do a lot of parties and bigger birthday parties. And we've done so much of that stuff. And then I also do catering outside the restaurant. We've had a lot of big events that we do. And so there's so many different options to Simply Fish that you could do. So
There are, so the floor, for example, is
hmm
a what do you call it? An epoxy, but it
yep,
has the ocean flow, the blue flowing through
yep,
it. So, yeah, you're right. And when you think about that, it is a very um, your logo on the wall is
mhm,
creatively done. Yeah, everything is very interesting. I didn't know about your art background, so
mhm,
that's something that I can see influence that, because you do have, and it's not like you have. Okay, so we're going to put TVs up, make it like a sport, because that way people can watch sports. That's not the way it's done. You have three TVs, all of them is different. And one of them, by the way, if someone wants to watch you cook, there's a certain segment on one of your TVs where we watch you preparing a steak,
mhm,
I think.
mhm, mhm. I think that people, um, that's one of the important things that I think I've seen in the restaurant. And when I talk to customers, they say, you're always here, you're always talking to people. We notice you all the time, and that's very comforting, that to know that the owner cares that much about his restaurant, um, that that I come to each table and I talk to them and greet them,
You do.
all these things in a full service restaurant, I've kind of learned in the last 2.5 years, but it's been pretty easy for me. I think that if you deliver a great product with great fish, you have great service, and you don't fluff things up and you don't say things that are, you just, the probably the best piece of fish I have in the restaurant is a Chilean sea bass. And, most restaurants are going to have that at $50 to $60, and I have it at a very affordable price. And, people will ask me, well, what is your favorite fish in the restaurant? And I always want to tell them it's Chilean sea bass, but the problem is if I do that, they're going to think that, oh, I'm just trying to sell the most expensive item in the restaurant. So I usually don't say that. I usually will direct them at other fish that I think is very good. And then at the end, I'll throw that in and I'll say, if you want a really great piece of fish that is by far a value, that would be the Chilean sea bass. But when you've been in the restaurant business 16 years, I usually eat something for a week straight and then I switch it and I try something. I do something out. I've ate everything in the restaurant. So, but and you kind of do that. You kind of gravitate to certain items and then you don't. So then you go on to the next best. And that way I also test my food all the time and make sure that they're
Sure,
doing it right. So
sure. So how did you come up with the ideas of first of all, the Frank Sinatra night and then the luau nights? Where'd those ideas come from? Obviously,
I just
background.
wanted to, after being having that restaurant open for about a year and a half, I started to think about other things that were missing in restaurants that, you could escape and go away, come to a restaurant and just have an entertainment night and enjoy uh, some music. And, with my client base of what I have, Frank Sinatra was the perfect fit for us. So and he sings half the night Frank Sinatra and half the night Neil Diamond. So, and those are two of my favorites. And I was like, how can I not do this? So,
Sure, yep,
we did it. But I kind of was told about him through customers that they had seen him around and this and that. And then one of my customers gave me a card, and I contacted them and I said, "How would you like a home that you could play at every single week?" And so we tried it, and it worked. And from the first day that they entertained, it's been that way ever since. And we get a full house, and we usually have a wait list, and it's that way on Fridays. And so now I've secured that throughout the whole year, and he's there every Friday, and we just do a great job, and people enjoy it, and it's a place to relax, and families come in with their kids too, and they enjoy it too, even though it's not their genre of music. They just love the
Everybody
ambiance
likes
of
it.
it. So,
Yeah,
um,
and when you say you have a full house, I mean, that's actually the truth. We used to go there every Friday night, and we feel
right,
like we kind of owe it to the restaurant to let other people come. We've kind of taken, because we'll come another night.
right,
I feel like we should let somebody else have a turn,
right, right.
but we could come there. We used to come every Friday night, remember?
Yeah,
And we
right.
decided, well, we'll let somebody else have a turn on Friday
Thank you.
nights.
Thank you. Some things that I really, really mean a lot to me. A lot of the families that come in with their kids. We've had two or three families that their children, they scribble at the table on a piece of paper and stuff, and they've drawn fish on the paper, and they've said, "This is the best fish place that we've ever been in, and thank you so much," and things like that. And those are, and I have them in the restaurant. It just makes me feel good that even the children, they appreciate the restaurant, which is very exciting to me. So,
And I've noticed one family that comes after church, I think. They
hmm
they come with, I think they have 3 or 4 children, and they sit in the big booth on the
hmm
backside, and they come after church, and then we see people who come after work, and I know that, and sometimes we like to do nice things for people who are by themselves, and then your waiter told me about people who come after work and they're regulars, and
hmm
it's just a great place to go. I think it's certainly, who doesn't like to go where they're recognized, where if you make the effort to go back and patronize a place that because you like it, who wouldn't love being recognized, having the owner come up and say hello, in essence, I know you come all the time, we appreciate you. I mean, that's just a great thing.
Yeah, the thing that what was a little frustrating to me in the beginning, for about the first year and a half, I really built this restaurant on word of mouth. So it was always word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. And I got to a certain point where word of mouth was getting us a pretty decent flow of customer, but it didn't get it to enough where it was enough to pay all the bills. And I started working and campaigning with a company that's all they do is social media. I'm not very good at social media, so
I don't know, you do a pretty good job, I think.
yeah, and they do a pretty good job, and so I'm getting more exposure. A lot of reels they do, and a lot of different things, and you're helping. Thank you very much, and we'll see a spike from that. But yeah, just that that advertising thing that I've done is just created so many more people that come from 20, 25 miles away, 30 miles away, come from Northern California when they're in the area. All these things, they've seen things, and I'm like, wow. And these are things that have just taken the restaurant, to the next level. And I'm very appreciative of that. It doesn't come easy, but it's coming. And so now we're not a secret anymore, which is,
Which is great.
I always thought, well, with all the publications that are voting us this and that and whatever, that was going to drive the business, and but I have to think of my customer base, and most of my customer base you know, doesn't see a lot of that. So I had to get that customer to come in, and so that's when I started doing a lot of advertising. That really, really helped the business too. So, but for me, at 65 years old and the last quarter of my life, I'm very, very happy to do what I'm doing. And it just every day I wake up with a smile and ready to go to work and greet people and talk to
Well,
people.
we love you. You certainly have made our family happy.
Thank you.
That's our go-to place as well, you know. Another thing that impresses me is your involvement in the community.
Hmm.
Community seems to matter a lot to you. Can you share some of the ways that you give back and you've chosen to give back, why you do that, and how you do it?
Well, just my Christian upbringing mainly is a thing that, to show examples of love and that's something that I've always done. And I do more now that I'm discovering all these different things that I can do. I do things with the churches all around the restaurant in Costa Mesa. I just did a thing for it was called Love Costa Mesa where we fed 1,200 people. And what that was people would um, through the city they would request, oh, I need weeds pulled at my house, or I needed a garage door painted, or I needed this or that, and they would set up all these people that also were volunteers, and they would go out in the community of Costa Mesa, and they would go out and do small projects for people, and then they would all meet back at City Hall, and we had four restaurants that fed all these people for lunch, and we had they do that every year, and I became a part of it. Um, I also do some stuff with Wounded Warriors. I do stuff with Warriors on the Water, which is also a fishing part of the community that are for veterans, and I do things and functions with them where I donate food and I donate gift cards and things like that. And I just whatever I can do to involve myself in the community and do things. We also do a few schools where we donate. We have a school night where they come in and then we do a percentage of the proceedings and we give back to the schools and things like that. And I'm always anybody that wants to do anything like that that I can give back to the community, I'm more than happy to do. So we do that and I do stuff with Lions Club. We do the golf course. They do a golf thing with that, and there's a lot of different things that come up throughout the year that I try to do. I just did a thing for Down syndrome. Uh,
Yeah, I saw that. Uh-huh.
yeah, and that was another big one. And we're going to do one for autism coming up. So uh, these are just things that, I think that as a Christian, you should do things like that and give back wherever you can give back. And I call it my tithing, and that's what I
Definitely.
do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you're a kind person anyway, so I'm sure the community likes having you around. You're a nice guy to be around. I can say that
Thank you.
for sure. So how do you go about selecting new menu items? Is that important in a restaurant business, or can you just
Well, what I try to do is I like to create, what I've tried to create or the basic items that people want to eat all the time. And they just, there's a lot of things that fell by the wayside when it came to seafood that, there's a culinary thing that you go to a fancy restaurant and you eat and you don't really even realize it's more of an art piece than it is a piece of food. So I try to bring it more with a comfort feeling to it so that, people uh, like I do fried clams in the restaurant, and people go, "Well, I can never get fried clams. I can only get them in San Francisco, or here or there." And I just try to do things that are just comfort food that, I don't do just crazy things that for culinary purposes. I try to do it for things that people can eat that actually they want to eat every day. And so that's what I try to do with my menu. I try to do flavor profiles. Like I said, I try to do things, and it's always usually things that I enjoy eating and I enjoy the flavor profile of it, and it seems to work. And I've just designed um, a new sauce called, and I'm calling it Mesa Verde sauce. Well, we live in the Mesa Verde district of Costa Mesa, so and it's kind of a Spanish flavor to it. It has a little bit of heat to it, but not enough where it's, when you eat it, it's like, wow, it's too hot, too spicy. and it's going to be a new flavor profile in the restaurant. And I'm doing a lot of things with miso. So we do a Chilean sea bass miso, and I'm trying to do a little bit other things. Trying to develop now. I don't know if it'll get to that point, but I'm working with the cooks to try to do a carbonara pasta, and that's going to be another seafood item. Trying to work on some salads, just different things. But my menu is so big, so what do I do? Just add more confusion to the restaurant. But these are all basic items that people would gravitate to, and I think they're going to do well. So, yeah, that's good.
But and plus you have nightly specials.
Right. Every
Let's tell
every
our listeners and our viewers what they can expect in their night and that you do have these great nightly specials.
right. Well, I do lobsters on one night. I do pan-seared scallops on one night. I do a shrimp fettuccine on a different night. So I try every day to have a um, different menu item that's at a lower price, so it's a little more even more affordable, even though it's affordable at regular price. But try to do that and to get my customer to come on a certain day where, oh, I know I can get pan-seared scallops on Wednesdays and come on Wednesdays. And and then that creates more more interest in the restaurant, and then they'll always, well, one person will have that and one person will have something else. And I also do a light fare menu every day, Monday through Friday, from the time we open till 2:30. That's for the lunch menu, and it's basically light fare, which means instead of three pieces of fish and chips, which people can't normally finish at $15, I do light fare menu at $10 on fish and chips, and you get two pieces instead of three. And or I do a lot of my most popular items at from $10 to $12, and you get a nice meal for $12. I mean, you can't go anywhere anymore,
No.
even in a fast food. And that's what I'm kind of what people tell me is they're very frustrated because these big chains have had to go up in price, and they have kiosks, and you have to learn how to do a kiosk and order food, and there's nobody to help you do it, and you get frustrated, and then you get your bag of food and you've paid $18 or $24, and you walk out, and you know you don't get anything out of it when you can come to my restaurant and eat for $10 to $12 and have sit down and enjoy a meal and see some TV and see or whatever it may be, and enjoy a comfortable meal with service and for a lot less money. And so that I do. And then I do a happy hour till 5:30, 2:30 to 5:30. I do a happy hour menu where I have, beers at $5, and I have margaritas, and then I also have a lot of different items, and they're all at discounted prices too. So um, those are for the people that want to try the restaurant and they don't want to, spend a lot of money. They can walk away and still have money to spend somewhere else. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let's tell our listeners and our viewers exactly what is a meal like at Simply Fish. So you come and you get the fish and what goes with that.
so you have for that set price, you pick two sides. You pick your sauce of if you want it just grilled, with no seasoning, or you just want simple salt and pepper, or you want that, or you can get the different sauces on the fish. You also get rice, you get brown rice, you get corn, you get zucchini, um, and French fries, and you get all those different things. And then if you want a premium side, you can get asparagus or Brussels sprouts or sweet potato fries for $3 more. Um, and you get those type of things, a side salad, and all those different other items that we do. So we have 10 different sides. So between all of those different things, you can find something that's gonna make you feel, something that's very affordable and that. So, and then we have Taco Tuesdays where we have all our tacos that are at a value price, and you get your drink and you get your two tacos with it, and you can mix and match your tacos. Have 15 different tacos. So that's
Yeah,
another.
so think about this, folks. You get fish, 2 or 3 pieces of fish, depending on the time that you go and
Mhm,
the size that
mhm.
you want. You get 2 sides, and I'm telling you that these are real sides, not just like a little tiny teaspoonful, but you get a full side. For us, usually we take, usually all the time, I take coleslaw, and we love the sweet potato fries. We love the zucchini, interestingly. You take a long piece of zucchini, actually about 3 pieces of zucchini, right, is the side.
Yep.
So these are healthy, big sides, and everything is equally good. This is a deal. This is an absolute steal. This is one of Southern California's best kept secrets. And if you have not been to either FishBonz in Torrance or Simply Fish in Costa Mesa, you are really, really, really missing out. So, Derek, what's next for Simply Fish and for FishBonz?
Well, I think that in Simply Fish, I'm working on some new menu items that I don't know if I'm going to do it as on the menu. I may do them as featured items, so there's always something fresh and new to bring in, and I might do, for a month at a time and do different things. I'm working on, I don't know if I should say this yet, but I'm working on the
Well,
fifth.
it's just a secret. So we'll
Okay,
just
yeah, we
only
won't
keep
tell
it among
anybody.
our few thousand
So
friends.
I'm working on the fifth Sunday of every month, which is 4 times a year,
Yes.
doing a brunch.
Ooh, tell us more.
Well, I can't tell you more because I haven't decided what we're going to put on that brunch yet, but do a brunch menu and see if I can be successful at doing brunches and doing a kind of a, obviously a breakfast lunch thing, but dedicated to seafood and then but also have some things that are non-seafood that you would have your traditional things that you would do. But so that's the next thing that I'll probably be working on, and then also the new menu items that we're going to mainly start to do, and we'll see where that takes me in 2025. So,
I'm excited to try the new sauce. That sounds really yummy. I like the chipotle sauce. My mom likes the butter sauce.
uh-huh.
We like, and so tell people the different flavors. You have Cajun.
Right. We have Cajun spice. We have Cajun butter, which is a mixture of the lemon garlic butter with the Cajun. We do teriyaki. I do a miso glaze sauce. I'm going to introduce this new Mesa Verde sauce,
That's
which
the one
is
I'm anxious to try.
which is really good. And then of course you can do it just simple, simple salt and pepper or however you want to do that. And those are the main profile flavors that there is. And I think between all of those you'll have something that you'll like.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. We're almost out of time. I'm sorry to say we'll have you come back again, but and we'll talk about those new menu items when they're out in that brunch when we start it. So tell us, where can people find you? Give us some landmarks if someone's driving by. How will they see one of your restaurants?
Okay, so in FishBones, you'll find us on Pacific Coast in Crenshaw, right below Palos Verdes, in the Rolling Hills Plaza. You can't miss me. I'm right in the middle of the traffic circle, right in the middle of the center. And then in Costa Mesa, I'm not on the corner, but at Harbor and Adams. I'm in that shopping center. Most people know that. It used to be the Edwards Theaters. Originally, that whole building has been plotted as 4 different places there. So I'm right on the corner there, and Harbor and Adams, and can't miss it. Right by Orange Coast College, block
Absolutely.
Orange Coast College. Yeah.
Yep. And you'll find his van in the front and a big sign on the building that says Simply Fish Seafood,
Yeah.
which is amazing. We're out of time. Thank you so much, Derek,
Thank
for
you,
being our
Valerie.
guest today on SoCal with Val. Anyone who's listening, driving in your home, go to Simply Fish Seafood or to FishBonz in Torrance. Thank you very much.
And I'll see you on Friday.
You will. Yes.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.